So this is the second time for you in Finland. Do you have any thoughts about Finland already? Like, do you know anything about Finland that you can share when you go back?
Other than getting off the bus or the plane and going to the stage, I really don't. I don't have any. I haven't traveled it or done the tourist or thing yet. I haven't done any shopping. Like I got off the plane today, I went straight to the hotel, passed out for a couple hours, and came straight here. So no, I haven't seen it outside the stage. That kind of goes. That happens a lot though. Travel around a lot, and I mean, I went to Russia and I barely left the hotel just for a couple hours. Other than to go to work. But it's all good. Maybe I'll come back when I got a couple days to kick it.
Your second studio album, Love Story, came out earlier this year in April, and it did really well. It's been selling well. But mostly I've noticed that you yourself seem to be very proud and happy about it. Why is it like that?
I'm proud of it because, well, it's something that is like music that I truly believed in, and I was also like left alone to put it together. And I only invited artists that I respected and knew. And it's also there's records on there that I recorded like almost 3 years before Trump music back then I thought I had something that was really special, but nobody believed in it. So now putting them on this album and it working, yeah, I'm super proud, And I think that, just finding the sound it was a challenge to get it. And those 3 years that we took to come together and make it happen, it paid off, So yeah, I'm excited about the next album, I'm already working on it. Just because I feel I found a zone, of work, and yeah, it's definitely my proudest project, So.
Was it easy to convince the people you were working with, like Eminem, to give you that kind of a freedom? Because you actually took it you took a lot of risks with the new album. Like there's a lot of songs that you couldn't really maybe even recognize you or the same guy that came out like in 2005.
I don't think so, man, because Marshall and I were kind of like, we didn't really come together that much on the first album. There was people in between us that fucked that up, honestly. And Marshall heard a singing record that he wanted to put on Radioactive that I was doing then. But there are people in between like, no, they're not ready for, So he was, actually one of his favorite records was American You, and when I sent him that, he asked to produce it. So when I knew he was excited about that, I knew that the rest of the records, But, he knows what's up, He's got super good taste, and I don't think we would click if that didn't make sense, That's kind of like how we clicked in the first place. But we figured it out on this album. I didn't have to do any convincing to Marshall, He was stoked on the project, and, at the end of the day, we're different artists, we just are, and but that makes it that's what makes it so dope, I think Best Friend, the record that we did for Love Story, it says the most about that, about how we work and where we've come so far, just being free to make a record, not getting on a record just to rap, rapping over beats or whatever, like making a song for the song's sake, So
You've known for like combining different genres, like you use rock with rap with country music, and I mean it's already been kind of done by many other artists, but it's very mainstream. So how do you make it sure that it still sounds very you and unique? And I mean, what is your like secret ingredient to make sure that it's like good stuff?
The problem with, you know, mainstream, really corny mashup music is just that the people producing it don't know enough about country to make it hip hop. Hip hop don't know enough about country to make it. It's all vice versa. What rock and roll, whatever you're doing, you haven't heard enough of it to know, to have a good palate for it. You know, you just haven't heard enough. So you have some producers that just think a rock guitar is just a grungy sounding guitar, and so they'll put that on a hip hop beat and write a really corny hook and think it's a rock hip hop mashup, and that's just not how it works, you know. I mean, we really just make songs for songs. If we may have somebody in the studio that is like Robbie Turner is a lap steel musician, played for Waylon Jennings. He toured with Johnny Cash. He toured with Waylon Jennings for like 10 years. And we had him in there to do some lap steel work. That doesn't particularly mean that we're going to do a country song. You know, we just want his taste, and let's see what happens with it. So I going into the studio with some kind of set goal to make a certain sound it could be, you know, could be a double-edged sword. Sometimes it's a gamble, really. I never go to the studio thinking, today I'm going to write a country song, or today I'm going to do this, that, because 20-30 minutes into the session, you're like, it's gone on its own path, and that's how it's supposed to be.
You already mentioned that you are working on new stuff, and I think there's already a like new album coming. Was it gonna sound like you gonna take it even further than what you did with Love Story, or is it? Does it go back even?
No. Love Story is like a foundation studio album, really. Yeah, like I said, like it's the first album where I really was just given a key to a studio and let be. So as long as that is, you're always gonna get that versatility, that. But man, like honestly, I think I've really earned the trust of people around me, you know, with this album, to just let me do it, you know. And so Trial by Fire will be the first record I'm trying to produce in its entirety myself. And but yeah, we're like 5 records deep already on it. So I mean, the pieces are all there, so it's coming together quickly. But it's gonna be in the same vein of Love Story. You know, Love Story is somewhat of a return to arena rap, and even Stereo, which was a classic rock hip hop tribute mixtape I did with DJ Ideal and Our Time in Miami. It's somewhat of just a return. So, you know, it's not really that. Of course, we're trying new things, but it's also like just getting back to what it was before mixtape took over my career.
We are living in a time where like a lot of people, well, basically a lot of artists just drop singles, and people are not focusing on like studio albums or like albums in general. Like, what's your point of view on that? Like, does it sometimes feel frustrating to do an album where people might just only listen to like few songs here and there?
Yeah, but I just, yeah, of course you want somebody to buy your album and sit with it, you know, but that just doesn't happen. You know, first of all, people don't have time, especially nowadays. They definitely don't have the patience. So you're going to have these core fans that are going to actually sit and digest an album. You'll have some critics that may. But you know, it's just, if you want to pick through records, that's kind of like, that's your choice, you know. Can't really beat myself up over who's really listening to the album and who's not. I just make the album for listening to. If you do choose to listen to it, it's made to enjoy it from beginning to end. you can listen to it in sequence, and there's a flow to it. There's somewhat of a story. So, I mean, that's how I like to make records.
Last question. Slum American. Can you tell us something about that? I mean, it's not a label, it's not a gang, but what is it? And does it have some goals?
Well, it's pronounced Slum American. Yeah. It's not Slum American. Slum American was started as like what was a tattoo on the back of my legs. I got Slum American and Citizen on the other one. It was like a joke. So like if I was getting chased by the police, that they could read the back of my legs or whatever. So Slum American just is one of those words I started throwing around, and started like associating it with certain things, like the way a car looked, or you know, a truck on center blocks in somebody's front yard was Slum American. You know, that's some Slum American shit. Or you know, old Anthrax T-shirt and a mullet, you know, is Slum American. So it's kind of just started. That's how it really began, and then it became somewhat. Well, not even somewhat. It really started defining who we are, and my style, and the fans, and it's a term, and it's a lifestyle, you know. And yeah, it's not a, you know, I would never say Slum American label, you know. It was definitely doing music, you know, making clothes, or I'm starting to like make furniture and do all kinds of shit, leather goods, and you know, but it's definitely not a brand just for purchasing, you know. Kids get it tattooed and they own it, you know, or they're write Slum American on their jackets or whatever. I mean, that's kind of what it's really about, is just celebrating what it is, not what you spend on it.
Well, thank you so much.